Imagine a world without blue. No cerulean skies and paintings, no navy uniforms on soldiers, no blue clothing at all for ordinary people. For most of human history, the color blue was so rare, so expensive, it might as well have been magic. Lapis lazuli, the stone that gave the world its richest blue, had to be mined in the mountains of Afghanistan and was worth more than its weight in gold. Blue was the color of gods and kings, a color you saw but never touched. And then, in a dusty Berlin laboratory in 1706, one man, almost by accident, changed the color of the world forever. This is the story of Johann Jacob Diesbach, the man who invented the first modern blue and didn't even mean to. It's hard to truly grasp today, but for thousands of years, blue barely registered in the human experience. Many ancient languages didn't even have a distinct word for it. In the Odyssey, Homer famously describes the ocean not as blue, but as the wine-dark sea. The ancient Egyptians managed to create a synthetic blue, but it was chemically unstable and faded with time. Through the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, the situation was no better. Blue was the color of the divine. Artists reserved the precious ultramarine pigment, ground from that Afghan stone, for the most sacred subject of all, the robes of the Virgin Mary. It was a color of piety and power, so costly that patrons often had to supply it to the artists themselves. Blue was sacred, scarce, and for everyone but the fabulously wealthy, completely unreachable. That was the world Johann Jacob Diesbach was born into.
A world waiting for a revolution. Diesbach was an ambitious, meticulous color maker, not a famed alchemist, just a craftsman. One day, he was in his Berlin workshop attempting to create a batch of cochineal red, a popular crimson pigment. He mixed his ingredients, as he always did, iron sulfate and potash. But something was wrong. The routine process went awry. The vibrant red he expected failed to appear. Instead, the mixture in his pot began to darken. It turned murky, then shifted into a deep, impossible shade he had never seen before. He hadn't created red, not purple, not black. It was blue. A blue of stunning intensity, rich, electric, almost glowing from within. In a failed attempt at red, a new color had been born, by mistake. Stunned, Diesbach retraced his steps. The meticulous craftsman became a detective in his own workshop. What had gone wrong? What had contaminated his mixture? The answer, when he found it, was shocking. The potash, a key ingredient, had been supplied by an alchemist named Johann Dippel. And Dippel, to save money, had given Diesbach a batch that was tainted. It had been made using animal matter. Specifically, it was contaminated with blood. The iron present in the blood had reacted with the other chemicals in the pot, setting off a chain reaction that created a brand new compound, ferric ferrocyanide. Today, we know it by the name it was given, after the city of its birth and the military state that adopted its color for its uniforms, Prussian Blue. The world's first modern synthetic pigment. A stable, affordable, brilliant blue, born from a chemical accident and a bit of blood. At first, the world didn't believe it. A true, long-lasting, brilliantly vivid blue that anyone could afford? It seemed impossible. But word spread like fire through the art communities of Europe. Artists demanded it. Scientists studied its strange properties. Merchants, smelling a fortune, tried to steal the formula. The secret of Prussian blue was guarded for nearly 2 decades. A chemical treasure that would go on to color the paintings of Watteau, the blue period of Picasso, and even Hokusai's Great Wave in Japan.
And the invention, the incredible world-changing accident that should have made Johann Jacob Diesbach wealthy beyond all imagination, didn't. It wasn't just a new pigment, it was a revolution. With Prussian Blue, artists finally had a cheap, durable, and intense blue. And everything changed. In Japan, Katsushika Hokusai used it to create the churning, white-capped waters of the Great Wave off Kanagawa, one of the most iconic images in history. In Europe, Van Gogh swirled it into his turbulent sky of his Starry Night. But its impact went far beyond the canvas. The color appeared in military uniforms, posters, and fabrics. For the first time, ordinary people could wear blue clothing and see vivid blue in art. A color once reserved for the divine became the color of the people, a symbol of trust, calm, and depth that still shapes our world today. But here's the tragedy at the heart of the story. Johann Jacob Diesbach, the man who accidentally invented modern blue, never saw the riches his discovery generated. His recipe was quietly stolen, copied, and industrialized. Factories began producing Prussian blue by the ton. Fortunes were made, but not by him. The man who gave the world its first accessible blue died in relative obscurity. His monumental contribution only truly appreciated long after he was gone. His color, however, kept spreading across the globe, painting a new reality for millions. And then, centuries later, the story takes an unbelievable turn. Scientists discovered something extraordinary about Prussian blue's unique chemical structure. It forms a microscopic cage, a porous framework that is incredibly effective at trapping certain dangerous particles. The very same pigment used by Hokusai and Van Gogh became a life-saving medicine. Today, it's an FDA-approved treatment for poisoning from the heavy metal thallium and for exposure to radioactive cesium. Pills containing Prussian blue bind to these toxins inside the body, preventing them from being absorbed and allowing them to be safely expelled. The beautiful color that once saved paintings from fading was now saving human lives. Look around you right now. Your jeans, corporate logos, the glow of your screen. Blue is everywhere. It's so common we don't even think about it. We take it completely for granted. But for 99% of human history, the world you see would have been impossible. A world painted in a color that was once as precious as a fairy tale, all because of one forgotten man and one fortunate accident. Johann Jacob Diesbach didn't set out to find a legacy. He was a craftsman, working at his bench, trying to make a simple red. Instead, he gifted humanity a new blue, a color that redefined art, culture, and even medicine. It's a powerful reminder that some of the most remarkable things in our world don't begin with a grand plan. They begin with small moments, unnoticed discoveries, and sometimes a single drop of color is all it takes to change absolutely everything.
Stay curious. This is Unremarkably Remarkable. Like, subscribe, and let's keep exploring how even the unremarkable can surprise us.